countertransference in the patient-provider relationship. So transference happens when you as a provider remind the patient of somebody that they know, and it could be a good or bad thing. Sometimes the prescriber or the healthcare provider reminds them of someone that negatively impacted them in the past, or you can remind them of their mom, their sibling, and they kind of latch onto you or lash out at you because you remind them of that person. So that's transference. Today I wanted to talk about countertransference, which is the healthcare provider's emotional reaction to the patient. So the roles are reversed, meaning maybe the patient that you're dealing with reminds you of somebody that hurt you in the past or that you had a negative relationship with, or they remind you of somebody in your family, a loved one, and is based on the healthcare provider's past experiences versus the patient's past experiences. So transference is when the nurse or the healthcare provider reminds the patient of somebody they know, and countertransference is when the patient reminds us as a healthcare provider of somebody we know in our personal life. How do we recognize if countertransference is occurring to us in the patient-provider relationship? Some signs are if you experience any extreme emotional reaction internally to the patient that you're seeing, whether it be negative or positive. Maybe you have recurrent anxiety or uneasiness when you see that patient on your schedule. Something about them reminds you of somebody in your past. Uncharacteristic carelessness in the interactions you do or with the follow-up for the patient. If you're finding yourself having difficulty empathizing with the patient. Maybe they remind you of a loved one, so you're resistant to other people treating the patient or interacting with them. If you find yourself frequently running overtime or cutting yourself short. A negative mood after you see the patient. Maybe you avoid discussing certain topics with that patient because it's too close to home or their situation is too similar to your own. Why are all these a problem? It could lead to blurred boundaries, biased clinical decision making, create unhelpful emotional reactions, really undermine the therapeutic relationship. We're all human, having human interactions, but it's important for you to be aware and really assess if you feel like you can relate to anything that I'm saying. The goal is always to remain that therapeutic relationship, professional boundaries. So make sure to have some self-awareness, recognize it's good if you're feeling good or bad about this patient. Talk through your reactions with a trusted peer, maybe transfer that patient onto another prescriber's panel. And if you find yourself in this situation where you're becoming triggered, even look into therapy for yourself as well. And in this discussion, it is a topic that comes out on the PMHNP boards, transference and countertransference, and know the differences. Again, that transference is going to be when a patient you remind the patient of somebody in their past or a situation in their past, and countertransference, in which we really need to be aware of as being the professional in this role, is noticing when a patient reminds you or triggers you for something that happened in your life, whether that be good or bad. We don't want to pay favorites. We also don't want to treat anybody differently because of our own experiences in our past. It's not fair to them or to us, and it doesn't provide the best outcome. So just something to be aware about, and more on that topic again in the PMHNP this book. And if you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. Today I wanted to talk about countertransference, which is the patient's, which is the healthcare provider's emotional reaction.